If you search for non-toxic air fryers, the two highest rated options are the Ninja Crispi and the Ninja Crispi Pro. But are these glass air fryers actually safer and better than traditional air fryers? And are they worth the much higher price tag? To find out, I cooked over 100 meals in both the Crispi and Crispi Pro. I also tested them head to head against 6 other highly rated air fryers. With each, I cooked fries, cookies, squash, and chicken wings using the same settings. I measured noise levels on air fry mode at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I cleaned them dozens of times to compare how easy they are to maintain. I also removed the crisper plates 100 times to see how the rubber bumpers held up, and I shook each basket to see whether the plates would stay secure or fall out, which can be dangerous when they're hot. I even tested how heat resistant the glass is to breaking by going from extreme heat to ice water, and from the freezer directly to the highest heat setting. Finally, I compared all the key specs, including countertop footprint, cooking surface, height, weight, cord length, settings, features, and more. If you're thinking about buying the Ninja Crispi or the Ninja Crispi Pro, you need to watch this video to the very end. There are some things that I really like, a few things that I don't, and one major concern that you need to understand before you buy. Before I get into the test results, there are a few things you need to understand about the materials and the function. Most air fryers have a thin aluminum basket coated in a nonstick material. With the Crispi and Crispi Pro, your food is cooked in thick, heat-resistant glass, and that's why Ninja markets these as non-toxic. That said, your food doesn't actually sit on the glass. It sits on an aluminum crisper plate with a nano-ceramic coating. This Teflon-free coating is the same material used across many air fryers, including several that I tested. And like any nonstick surface, ceramic can scratch and flake over time. So compared to other ceramic-coated models, Ninja isn't necessarily safer. The difference is that there's just less coated surface area surrounding your food. In terms of function, the original Crispi has a heating unit that sits on top of a glass container and lifts off. With the Crispi Pro, the heating element is fixed in place and you adjust the height of the base depending on which container size you're using. With the original Crispi, you can't set an exact temperature. You just pick a mode and it runs within a range. The Crispi Pro lets you choose between 80 degrees Fahrenheit and 450 in 5-degree increments, which makes it way easier to follow recipes and make adjustments. I love how you can see your food while it cooks, you don't lose heat by opening a basket, and there's less coated material to scratch. But how well do these air fryers actually cook? Before I get into that, I want to quickly thank Laundry Sauce for sponsoring this video. Laundry Sauce makes laundry pods, dryer sheets, scent boosters, fabric softeners, and basically a whole lineup of laundry products. But what sets them apart is their scents. They work with professional perfumers who are experts in fine fragrances. So instead of smelling like a typical detergent, these smell like a cologne or a perfume that you'd actually want to wear. You can choose from a bunch of different scents, including Australian sandalwood, which is warm and earthy, French saffron, which is rich and a little sweet, and the crisp and clean Siberian pine, just to name a few. I've been using Australian sandalwood and it smells incredible. The pods are also just easier to use. There's no measuring, no sticky cup making a mess in your laundry area. You just throw one in and you're done. In addition to making your clothes smell really great, these pods clean really well too. To prove it, I squirted ketchup, mustard, and balsamic vinegar on a white shirt, let the stains set in, and washed it with one pod. Here's the before and here's the after. If you want laundry products that smell much better and clean really well, check out the link in the video description and use code PRUDENTREVIEWS15 to save 15%. All right, so back to the performance results. In my tests, fries got crispy quickly and cooked evenly in just 10 minutes. In less than 25 minutes, the wings cooked perfectly all the way around. The skin was crispy, but the meat was still juicy. And vegetables came out evenly roasted with good color. In both Crispi air fryers, the cookies browned too quickly on top before the bottom cooked enough. The other models I tested cooked them more evenly. In the Crispi Pro, the outside of the butternut squash browned faster than the inside softened, so I had to lower the temperature partway through. It still came out good, but compared to some of the other basket-style air fryers, it required more adjustment. Overall, both the Crispi and Crispi Pro perform on par with the top air fryers I tested. And there was no meaningful performance difference between the Crispi and Crispi Pro. Both cook fast, results are consistent, and as long as you're willing to flip food and make small adjustments, they live up to their reputation. The only air fryer that clearly outperformed the others was the Dome 2. It has heating elements on both the top and bottom, so wings finished in just 18 minutes and cookies baked the most evenly. Outside of the formal tests, I cooked a lot more food in these. I cooked chicken thighs, chicken tenders, meatballs, leftover potatoes, and much more. I also used it for reheating, and food crisps back up quickly without drying out. Everything came out awesome, and being able to see the food through the glass makes it easy to flip or stop cooking at just the right moment. One thing worth mentioning is noise. The Crispi Pro was the loudest air fryer I tested. The Ninja Double Stack was close, but that was with 2 fans running at once. The regular Crispi was noticeably quieter than the Pro. From a cooking standpoint, my biggest complaint is the size of the cooking surface. Even though the Crispi Pro is a 6-quart air fryer, the actual surface where the food sits is only 8 by 8 inches. It's the same size crisper plate as the original Crispi's 4-quart container and even the smaller Crispi Pro 2-quart container. The capacity increases vertically, not horizontally. You can fit about 4 overlapping slices of bread or 10 to 11 chicken wings without stacking. That's fine for 1 or 2 people, but it's noticeably smaller than air fryers like the Instant Pot Vortex or Dome. Although cooking performance was solid, there were a few issues in terms of day-to-day use. The first is weight. The large glass container on the Crispi weighs over 4 pounds, and the Crispi Pro weighs just over 5 pounds. Traditional aluminum air fryer baskets weigh around 2.5 pounds. And with a traditional air fryer, you can grab the handle and slide the basket out with 1 hand. With the Crispi Pro, you need to use 2 hands and carefully line it up straight to fit it correctly under the heating element. It's a bit clunky and not nearly as fast or convenient as most air fryers. With the regular Crispi, you don't have to line anything up, but to access the food, you need to lift off the heating element and set it down somewhere. My initial concern was what happens to the counter when you set the heating element down, since the hot coil only sits about a couple inches above the surface. To test that, I ran the Crispi on air fry mode for 10 minutes, removed the heating unit, and placed it directly on a granite countertop. The surface temperature only increased by about 8 degrees, so that's not really an issue. But if you're distracted and place it on something like paper, packaging, or a cookbook, that could become a major problem. Another design flaw is that the air vent sits directly below the power cord on the original Crispi, so the cord gets blasted with hot air. I've never had the cord melt, but it's not a smart design. Another thing I noticed is that the glass gets extremely hot, and it stays hot even 5 to 10 minutes after cooking. The handles and the plastic guard closest to the glass also get hot. You can handle it without oven mitts, but I usually use them. With most air fryers, the handle and outer body stay cool enough that this isn't something you think about. Ninja says the glass is thermal shock resistant, and I wanted to test that claim. I heated the container on max crisp for 10 minutes, then immediately ran cold tap water on it. Fortunately, it didn't shatter. Then I tried again with ice water. Thankfully, still no shattering. I even put it in the freezer for several hours and then immediately put it on max crisp mode for 10 minutes. I thought it would shatter this time since you should never go from extreme cold to hot that fast, but it did hold up. That said, there are documented reports online of the glass shattering. It's rare, but it has happened. Those containers probably had an existing chip or hairline crack that you couldn't see, but either way, it's a risk to be aware of. On the positive side, the glass containers are dishwasher safe and they don't hold on to odors. Being able to cook, serve, cover, and store leftovers in the same container is also convenient. However, I don't like that the plastic base is permanently attached to the glass. There's a small gap underneath that you can rinse, but you can't really scrub or dry. So after all that testing, is the Ninja Crispi or the Ninja Crispi Pro worth buying? Before I give you my take, just a quick heads up that I linked to all the air fryers I tested, including the 2 Crispis, in the video description. So for most home cooks, I do not recommend the Ninja Crispi. I really don't like that the heating element lifts off and needs to be set down somewhere. The capacity is limited, and even though it's marketed as portable, the heating unit is clunky and the glass containers are heavy. So most people aren't throwing this in a bag and bringing it to work. I'm a much bigger fan of the Crispi Pro. With the Pro, you get better temperature control and the heating element is fixed in place. And if you're cooking for 1 to 3 people, the capacity works. That said, my biggest concern is the glass. Both models use the same borosilicate glass, And while I like being able to see the food as it cooks, it gets extremely hot. It passed my stress tests, but the reports of the glass breaking are a major concern. If you're not willing to take on that risk, my top alternative is the Typher Dome 2. You get the same ceramic coating on the crisper plate, but a much wider cooking surface and heating elements on both the top and bottom, so flipping food is less necessary. It's expensive, but the performance is excellent. If that's too pricey, the Instant Pot Vortex and Cosori Turbo Blaze are both cheaper, high-performing options. If you want to learn more about all the air fryers I tested, check out this video where I break down all their pros and cons. And for more videos like this, click the logo to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.